Hi, I'm Christy from Katie, coming to you from the International AIDS Conference in Montreal, AIDS 2022. Before each conference, some people host pre-conferences and meetings to take advantage of meeting with people from around the world doing similar work. One of these pre-conferences is the International Indigenous Pre-Conference on HIV and AIDS. To learn more about this conference and about how Indigenous people are working to address HIV globally, I spoke to Trevor Stratton, one of the conference organizers.
My name is Trevor Stratton. I work for Communities, Alliances and Networks, CAN, and I am their Indigenous Leadership Policy Manager. One of the things we learned, I guess, is that we need to work more closely with national governments. We had a panel where we had high-level officials from the United States, Mexico, and Canada, where they were being interviewed by, an Indigenous auntie and someone from the Indian Health Service in the U.S. as interviewers. And it was interesting that we all want the same thing, and yet we're not working closely enough together. There's many more ways that the countries themselves can be working together for North America, so that one panel is going to end up leading to other meetings between those three governments and Indigenous peoples. It's actually made us all realize that we can do this, and we can get our national research centers perhaps to align their research so that we could make data that is comparable. And if we make a model in North America between three countries, that could be scaled up in other countries where they're not necessarily working directly with Indigenous peoples. There is no funding for an Indigenous-led, equitable kind of partnership where they would be, their national research centers would be collecting disaggregated epidemiological data for Indigenous so we can mount an evidence-based response. There just isn't much data out there. I think globally, it's in every country and internationally, it's important to bring the different sectors of the HIV response together. And by that, I mean the three major rings that I see that should be overlapping are, policymakers or elected officials. The second one is academia and researchers. And the third circle is the community response. When we're all working together, when they all overlap, that middle ground where we're all working together is the sweet spot where we can really, eliminate. That's the only way we're going to reach any global goals and end AIDS as a public health threat by 2030, is if all parts of community and science and elected officials get together. And I don't think the world realizes yet that we're not just Indigenous people aren't just asking for help. It's not like, poor us, can you please come and help us? We need help. We're all alone in the woods. It's not like that. We have a lot to offer the world. And the world is not going to reach these global targets without engaging Indigenous peoples. Well, Indigenous peoples, when they go into research, for example, everything is a ceremony. And if you open in ceremony and you call in our ancestors, we call in our ancestors with us, so that we're not just working for ourselves, we're working for our ancestors and we're working for our future generations. So that everything we're doing, we're trying to think of at least 7 generations in the future, so that any action that we take now is really important for that 7th generation to be considered. And part of the reason that we're here now and we're so strong is because our ancestors 7 generations ago were praying for us. And they set out an intention that everything we do, we have to care about our generation. So I'm proud of my ancestors because of that foundation that they've built. And I want my future generations, when I'm their ancestor, I want them to be able to look back and say that too. You know, our ancestors took care of us. Before they made decisions, they thought about us in the future. And that's how the HIV response needs to be as well. When Indigenous people get together, we are actually in ceremony. And for many of us have been separated from our cultures through assimilation and the legacy of the residential school systems. A lot of the teachings aren't accessible to our people. So when we get together, many of us are digging deeper, discovering who we are as Indigenous peoples by sharing different stories and sharing traditions, sharing experiences that are uniquely Indigenous, learning how to drum, learning how to sing a song in your language. That's healing. That's some kind of healing that we don't get when we're in a large group of people living with HIV. Sometimes people will say, well, why do you want to live in the past? Why can't we just look to the future and be positive? We can all hold hands and sing Kumbaya, and the lambs will lay down with the lions and everybody will be happy. But for Indigenous peoples, in order to understand how we got here, for many of us, HIV is a symptom of colonization. It's another symptom of colonization, like diabetes and other diseases from Europe, like alcoholism or homophobia. You know, these are symptoms of colonization. These aren't ours, and we've taken them on. And when we go into ceremony, when we smudge, for example, and clean our spirit of all this other stuff that you carry around that isn't yours, and you smudge and it's just you. And we all smudge and it's just us. We don't carry the energy of the other people that we meet that day or whatever. It's just us, and we are in connection with Creator, and our ancestors are in the room. You can't get that feeling anywhere else unless it's just Indigenous peoples.